off the list.
Would you please welcome from a place called Winnipeg? I've been hanging around gas stations and learning about times. I've been talking to grease monkeys. I've been working on cars.
Woo! All right. We're always like so excited when we first revealed the guys. It was always like, hey, we're still here. We're still alive.
Still alive and kicking.
Alive and kicking. Kicking. Hey, welcome to Winnipeggers. Where are we at? Episode 13, which is great. Congratulations, guys. Virtual cheers.
Cheers.
I think, are we all in the vodka tonight? Uh-oh.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a surprise.
Get your referee outfit on, Rybo.
I think last time you had the right call ever, Rybo, when you said, I've never been this sober for anything on an episode of Winnipeggers. And the last episode we had was our worst viewed episode. So maybe we better up the drink skis.
And of course, it was our favorite, but least viewed. Yeah.
I thought the blatant Maiden Winnipeg Iron Maiden whoring out of the name would get us some viewers, some punters from England, but apparently it didn't work.
I thought so too. I'm putting Adrian down because he made me pay for that trip.
Maybe Adrian found out about it.
Yeah.
Kiboshed it.
Made some calls.
Because apparently anybody we talk about that you guys are scared of talking about, because you might run into him one day. I might run into Adrian next time we play with him at a stadium, and he's not going to like this.
I heard what you said on the last episode of Winnipeggers, and it wasn't very flattering.
So what we were talking about before is I'm in LA and you guys are in Canada, talking about the different levels of social distancing and wearing masks and all that sort of stuff. So what you guys were talking about with Halloween, what's going on with Halloween in the Peg, Rybo?
It's over. There's nothing. You know what? The good thing about Halloween is you're already wearing a mask. So do you have to wear a mask? If you're wearing like a gorilla face mask, do you still have to wear a mask under the mask, or does that count?
But has it been officially canceled?
No, I'm not sure, but I know my sister-in-law is a teacher, and she says she's allowed to hand out candies, but she has to do it herself. They can't pick out of the bowl. She's got to use tongs and hand it out.
A thong? A thong?
No, tongs.
It's a really strange rule, but she's got to give out candies in a thong this year.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with a lockdown?
That's the best thing about Halloween, though, is that all girls have to wear a thong, don't they? Something like that. Something revealing.
It's got to be something like sexy gorilla.
Sexy gorilla.
Yeah. There's
sexy
Billy.
Justin Trudeau. I went as sexy Mitt Romney once for Halloween.
Shut up.
I did, yeah. I went to the store and I had a tradition of always buying costumes the day of Halloween. So you're down to the wire and you got to be creative. So I went into the drugstore and all they had was a Mitt Romney mask and a French maid's outfit, and I was like, bingo.
Done.
I'll take both.
It's the best ever.
I hope you don't have any pictures of that.
Plenty. You can see them online.
Yeah. Certain websites you can go to see those.
But what were you saying, Dave, about some guy had a rocket ship or something?
I saw something on the news where a local Calgary resident had built a tunnel, like a tube coming out of his house, where he drops candy in and it'll come through, and then the kids can get the candy, and then he doesn't have to see them or anything. It's perfect.
And it's great to get a Lysol as the candy goes down. There's a Lysol thing.
Yeah, a little spray of Lysol comes out with the candy.
I like how you told that story as if you were a newscaster. A local Calgary resident.
Yeah. News at 11.
The Speewee news. Right after the Speewee memes.
And then coming up with Speewee nudes, which will be very popular as well. There's no real new Speewee memes this week, I don't think, is there?
Yeah, there was actually. I meant to send you them. Maybe we'll hook it up for the next episode.
For next show, yeah. The guy, whoever the guy, I think they're from Ireland or something like that.
Yeah.
making some great memes for us. And like I said, have we gotten any feedback lately? Is there any fan mail to read or anything like that? Or
Again, I'll have track of the next episode.
Okay, the next show is
Yeah.
going to be much better than this one.
Yeah.
So don't even worry about it.
It's like we haven't even texted each other, let alone like.
Yeah, that's true.
doing
That's true.
anything.
We've been on vacation.
Yeah.
So this week we're going to talk about first jobs.
First
Or Yobs, as you know, because
Yobs.
here on the Winnipeggers we don't pronounce the letter J. So first Yobs, and this was we have a list of topics, and I was picking all of them, and Dave just was not having it. He didn't like this one or that one or this one or that one.
Oh,
So you kind of settled on first Yobs was the one that you kind of went for.
yeah.
So I hope you better have a fucking great story about your first job.
I don't really. I've been trying to avoid work since I was born, so I don't have a lot of great job stories.
Well,
You want me to
before
go
you jump
first?
into, let me ask one question, because my kids are older now. My daughters still like the Halloween thing, but they more like to just watch scary movies and stuff. But your son, Emmett, is 5, 6, 7.
He's 9. Well, it's been a
Just
while.
goes to show, right?
Yeah.
So is this kind of bumming him out that there's no trick or treat this year?
It's because he's the one that told me it's canceled. He's like, Halloween's canceled. It's canceled. It's over. It's like, well, it's still the date. It's not just like there's no October 31st. I mean, there's still you can watch scary movies, do whatever. There's just no. I don't know trick or treating, but
How many rooms do you have in your house?
enough. I
Like
don't know.
let's say you have 4 rooms, including bathrooms. How many doors close? Why don't you guys go behind the doors and let him knock on each door in your house, and you can give him candy then.
That's
Through
hilarious.
a chute without any touching.
That's
A
right,
local
with a
Winnipeg
knife
resident.
Oh,
All
man.
right. So what I was going to say though with the kids, and actually too, Dave, you might as well have a youngster at home. Is he
Yeah.
bummed out about no trick or treating?
Well, I don't think he doesn't really understand it yet. We haven't really said anything to him that it's canceled, because I think there are going to be some social distancing events that we might take him around. So
How old is he now? 12, 13?
8. Thanks for asking. 8 years
I was
old.
way off. I can't get it right.
You got the sex right, but the age is off. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But that's the
Oh my
same
God, that
thing.
was
If
such
we
a
don't go
softball.
out, we'll make it fun for him. You got to do something for the kids for Halloween.
Yeah, do it for the kids, right? Okay, so but talking about kids though, like my kids still don't have a job, and my wife laughs at me because I tell her when I literally was like 9 years old, I had one. She's like, "Oh, sure, you had a job when you were in the embryo." And I'm like, "No, I literally had a job. My first official job was delivering flyers around the neighborhood, and I got paid 1 cent a flyer for delivery, which would be $1.49, unless it was a Jack Andrews pharmacy. Those were the big fat ones. They would come out with like the periodicals or whatever, and those I think you'd make double pay for that. So it would be $1.49, like $2.98, and I got my little paycheck with $1.49 in it, and I would go spend it at this place, which before we get into it is our official sponsor for today's show. A fine place that we all remember and hung out with quite frequently, Bigelow's Drugstore in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. It's gotten a little bit of an upgrade since we.
Fuck. Is that in Manhattan?
I don't know.
He moved. He moved. He got out of Dodge.
Oh God.
Bigelow's was a little pharmacy in a strip mall, and we were trying to find pictures, and I saw this Bigelow's Drugstore. I said, "Well, that's pretty good. There you go."
Good enough.
We would go hang out there. That's probably another show in itself. But so that was my first official job, was delivering flyers. And some other guys I knew also had the job, and they would do the nasty thing where they would take the flyers and put them down the sewer and still collect their money. But they'd always get caught because the lady would phone and say, "Did you get your Jack Andrews?" And no, I didn't get it. And then they get fired. Meanwhile, Mr. Sturdy, standard, honest guy here, I got my $1.49 every week, delivered every one of those fucking flyers.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I got one royalty check once, and it was also for $1.49.
Nice. What was that for?
That's I'm not even sure. It came from Sweden or something like that. I didn't even cash it. I just framed it.
What was it from the Annihilator record you played on, or was it from?
I'm guessing so. It didn't say. There was nothing. There's no it didn't say anything.
I think we'll wait till the royalty checks start coming in for your appearances on the Winnipeggers.
Oh, I've been waiting. I check the
rolling in it.
mailbox every day.
Well, we did make some money that one time. I'm still waiting to give you guys your share of the whatever it was from Total Arctic Wrestling.
Nice.
Which is a great
throw it back
sponsor.
into the machine. Throw it back in. We got expenses.
You got to spend. You know how long it took? How much money it spent me on Wi-Fi to pull up that photo of Bigelow's?
That's
It's
crazy,
expensive
man.
stuff here.
We're actually all sitting in the same room, but we got to use green screen to make it look like we're in different screens.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
That costs money, for sure.
Rybo, what was your first job?
Oddly enough, it was also delivering papers. I was quite young too. I was in elementary, so I was probably like grade 4, grade 5, something like that. So probably same age as you. And it wasn't really my own job. It was a friend of mine and we went to school with, Dwayne Johnson. You may have heard of him. So
Wow.
The Rock?
we went to school with Dwayne Johnson, and he had a paper route, and I used to do his route. He was gone for like 2 weeks, and he got me to fill in, so I would go in and do the paper route for him. And I don't know how much I made for that, but it was probably.
Well, let's explain something. Though. Dwayne Johnson was not The Rock. Dwayne Johnson looked a lot more like this guy.
Yes.
Oh,
it wasn't The Rock. No relation.
I think it was even spelled differently too, right?
It probably was. Yeah, Dwayne Johnson, kind of nerdy. He just looked like a ginger alfalfa or something like that.
You did it. You did it. I was waiting. Listen, if you ever run into Dwayne Johnson, he's not going to be happy with this.
Yeah.
I might run into him. I don't know.
Here's where, and this, I always have to make the people that we're talking about feel good after I go, great guy, had quite the arm, great pitcher, great baseball player. If you're watching, God bless.
All I think of when I think of Dwayne Johnson is jean jacket and jeans that were the same color. Am I right?
That's true. Yeah, and Expert A Deuce, the red pack, Expert A Mild.
By the way, the jean jacket, or sorry, the yin jacket and the yins is actually called a Canadian tuxedo.
He's a genius.
He is a genius. Sometimes we do a soft G too, just to get it in there.
My favorite Bowie song is Yeen Yeenie. It's so good. Yeen Yeenie.
My favorite show when I was younger was I Dream of Yeenie.
And also another sponsor. I will leave that for later. Dave, this is your baby.
Well,
what's your first job? And by the way, we're going through a bunch of our early. We got other jobs to talk about, but that was just the actual first. What was your first job?
Well, okay, funny enough, my real first job was also delivering flyers, but it was Sears catalogs, and I won't get into the story, but I would dump them, and I got caught. I dumped them immediately, like day one. I threw them over the fence at the golf course, and the hell with it. They're probably still there.
Is this going to be another one when I press you on the story? You're going to get mad at me? Like that sounds like a pretty funny story.
That's it. There's nothing else to it. But I'll tell you, the real job that I had, the very first real job, was working at Safeway as a bagger, store 594, Portage and Westwood, under Len Burgunder. I was the oldest bagger I think they ever had that didn't have Down syndrome. I was there for 4 years or something. I never got promoted. People usually got promoted within 2 or 3 or 4 months. I never got promoted at all. I actually went to Safeway with an application. My dad would take me there, and he kept saying, "How come they're never calling you back? Like, what's wrong with you?" But I kept walking in and just putting my application in the garbage. I wouldn't go up to the desk to customer service. I would just throw it in the garbage and walk out and go, "I guess they'll call," because I didn't want to.
Too nervous? Oh, gotcha.
I didn't want to. Well, yeah, and I was too nervous, So then I went in one time. Yeah.
I'm looking for a job. I need a job.
I just plead them. So I went in. My dad says, "I'm coming in with you this time," and he went and talked to them, and they hired me right on the spot. So I was there for like 4 years as a bagger. I had like one white shirt and one pair of pants. It looked so stupid. I didn't care about it. I hated the job, and I'd have to push the carts in the winter, and I had these cheap, stupid leather shoes with bow ties on them. Like I looked like Letterman, and I was like sliding all over the concrete with the carts, trying to move them around. But I was part of a union. I guess that was kind of cool. I thought, well, when are we going to take over? There was like a union, but it was $6.04 an hour, and I would get 18 hours a week, and I just hated it. And I had other jobs as well. Yobs. Sorry.
Hold on. When you say union, is that the real word, or are you actually trying to say union? Because
I was thinking the same
Are
thing.
U's okay? I thought we made this agreement that we could do a U. Like universe is not. Oh,
no, universe. But if you're trying to say the word universe, how are we supposed to know the difference on this show?
I see.
Besides the fact that there's no word called universe. Safeway job was a coveted job. When I was a kid, I remember when we were in high school, if you got the Safeway gig or the Chi-Chi's gig, which was the Mexican restaurante downtown where they did the Jets game wrap-ups and all the bands would go there. And if you got one of those two jobs, you were doing good. I applied at both, and they didn't even give me the time of day. And I ain't talking about Jason McMaster.
They also Safeway had a culture, and they did little things to people. They did little jokes, and they did an initiation to me. And they had this gigantic clock, not cock, a gigantic clock up against the wall at Safeway, huge clock. And they told me on my first day, they said, okay, well, you're the new guy and you got to go up the ladder and wind the clock, like physically wind the clock so it resets for the next day. And I'm like, come on. They're like, no, we're serious. And then the manager's like, hey, you're going to get up there? And I got up about maybe 4 steps. The ladder was probably like 50 feet up. I got about 2 feet up. And then they all just started laughing, and I went, and I knew that something was up. I just went along with it to be the good guy. As if you'd have to wind some clock, but it was just, but there was a culture. It was always fun. Sometimes you got to know the butcher. He throw you a piece of meat. You take it home and you do whatever you do with it. In your
the crazy thing was when you did that, Dave, is that when you had to wind the clock, is that the lightning bolt hit at the exact right time and sent Marty McFly home. So that was good.
Yes, that's true. at probably around the same year.
So another job that I had, which is kind of more my official job, because I also delivered papers as well. And I remember the older you got, the later you would deliver them. Because Saturday morning, those people wanted their papers at 8 a.m. You go drinking the night before. Suddenly it's 10. Suddenly it's 11. Noon rolls around and you're throwing the paper.
The paper boys doing shots at Wise Guys. There's a lineup of people. This is great.
But then you would have to collect too, because you would basically buy the papers. And then the money that you collected from your customers was what enabled you to pay for the papers, and whatever you made on top of that would be your payoff. So if you were collecting, and if you made $60 and the papers cost $50, you got $10. But some of those people would not pay. They wouldn't answer the door. You always know the one. This is going to be the old lady that answers the door with a robe and a cigarette. Or AKA Ryan's mom.
Yeah.
We say that with all love and respect for Marilyn Ahoff, a great lady. But there was a lot of robes and cigarettes. Or this place has a barking dog, and you'd always be scared of dogs. But if you can collect that money, then you would make yours. But so my first was DJay's Pizza, which is still there to this day. There's actually a pizza named after me there, the Jericho. And I worked there for about 2 weekends. And the reason why was because it was a terrible job that I had, or job, where my job was to scrape the pans after the pizza had cooked on it. So it was all like charcoal and that sort of stuff. Nice. And you scrape them off, and then you're just covered in greasy charcoal. It was awful. And the only good thing about working there was I realized that if someone orders a pizza and doesn't pick it up within an hour, that the kitchen staff gets it. So every day before work, about 45 minutes before, I would order a pepperoni and ground beef pizza, large. Hello, I'm Cyrus B. Jangleberry, and I would like a large pepperoni and ground beef pizza. Yes, sir. And then we get there 15 minutes later. Hey, Cyrus Jangleberry never showed up. Anybody want this pizza? It's like, wow. Just so happens it's my favorite kind. And that's how I would eat free pizza.
Every shift you ever worked.
Yeah. And now that pizza lives on as the Jericho at DJay. So if you're ever in Winnipeg, go to DJay's Pizza and ask for the Jericho. And that's
it's DJay's and it's a Jericho.
Sorry.
And you know what? You're responsible for what my next job was. I worked at tons of delivery jobs, pizza delivery jobs. I worked at Sabino's. I worked at Primo's. I worked at Sorrento's and whatever else is Domino's, whoever, something else. But
Bingos.
They had, I remember at Sabino's, the same thing where if someone didn't pick up a pizza or something, we'd get to eat it. And it was great. we moved over to Primo Pizza, and they had it where if someone didn't pick up a pizza, they just threw it in the garbage. They would not let anyone eat it because of guys like you, Jericho. Because you would call in and be Yash Yostansky or whatever, and call in and order your pizza, and then you'd eat it. And now they just said, forget that. There's none of this fake ordering crap.
Oh, yeah. Well, that Yash Stansky still owes me about $15. If I ever see that dude again, you better watch it.
I love that all the places you named you worked at, only 3 of them sold drugs. I just want to point that out. They had pizza?
So the next step up job that I got through Jason Clamola, if you remember that guy, was at Zellers, which is the whole chain of Zellers out of business now.
It is. It got bought out by Target, but it wasn't USA Target. It was like Target Canada. They had nothing, and it lasted maybe a year, and it's gone now. So
Target Canada.
Target was weird because it came into every city, and they like remodeled whole cities, like the whole Peel-Off Park area. They totally changed that, and there's this huge area now, and it's just basically a wasteland. They just made this. They opened this huge Target store. I don't even think it even opened. And
no, it probably didn't, because it closed here right away. The prices were super high. It was ridiculous. It was nothing like going down south to the Target, where you would go when you were a kid. Going from Winnipeg, we'd go out there. My dad bought a VIC-20. It was the first computer we had. Then several years later, we went back and bought the Commodore 64.
That's what I'm using this show on now.
Yeah, right. That's as far as Ryan evolved to. And then we would buy like Dr. Pepper. You couldn't get Dr. Pepper, and just you come back with all this great stuff. It was so cool.
I think we discussed this before on one of our shows, but let me get back to my story of Zellers. Zellers was kind of like a little bit less than Safeway and Chi-Chi's in that it was a pretty cool job to have, or so I thought. So I got the job as the stock boy, and Mrs. Draper was my boss, and I got the nickname, and this old lady who worked in housewares thought my name was this name for the entire time I worked there, Dave. For some reason, she thought my name was Dave. So whenever I saw her, I would cover my chest and my neck, or just take it off because I felt bad. I didn't want her, like I'd been pretending to be Dave for so long. I didn't want her to think that that I was actually Chris. And so my first day there, I show up, and I remember my dad dropped me off. So excited that I had a job. And my first order of business was to unload a semi-trailer truck that was pulled up against the loading dock, filled with sheep manure. Now, those of you who don't know what sheep manure is, sheep shit, it's used as fertilizer. So this thing must have had, 500 bags of sheep shit all on pallets. So I had to take the button to take the back of the truck up, get a pallet mover, whatever you call those things, pull it up, take the sheep shit off, and put it inside. So that was my first day. And I remember it took me 12 hours, and I only got half of it done. And dude, you thought it was bad getting covered with pizza crust crumbs? I was covered in sheep shit. First day. My dad was like, "Oh, I can't even let you in the car." And then second day, I unloaded more sheep shit, and then I fucked off to the Ville to play this wrestling video game called Exciting Hour. And there was 5 characters on the game, and if you could get to the last one, who was Blues Bloody, you would win. And I got hot, man. I got through Coco Savage, and I got through the Gladiator, and I got through the Piranha, and I got through, Tarzan Goto, or whatever the guy's name was. And I get to Blues Bloody, and I fucking beat him. And then I look at my watch, and I'm half an hour late. I was supposed to be back at like 1. It's 1:30. So I run back to Zellers from the Ville. It's about a 5-minute run or whatever. And my boss was furious, Mr. Melanson. "What have you been? You cut me off. You're fired," he says. And I'm like, please don't fire me. Please, please, please. I lost track of time. I had to save a baby from a burning house. A dog got hit by a car. So he finally rescinded the firing, but said, "You got to finish this sheep shit today." And I was like, if I would have been fired on my second day of work, my dad would have killed me. Like, you're dead for playing video games at the Ville.
Yeah.
So I didn't know they even sold sheep shit at Zellers.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like by
by
the scoop. I mean, it came in bags. like big bags of it's fertilizer.
Well, where
Yeah,
can you
manure.
get cheap shit now? Like, can you actually get
Yeah.
that places now?
Anywhere. Now that I've pointed out to you, next time you go to like a department store or anything, you'll see manure. That's what people use to grow plants or something.
Humans, that's what humans do. They do these things.
Thing.
So, do you have any more childhood, teenage jobs?
I worked at Mother's Pizza. Do you remember that place? That was kind of a swinging place back in the.
That was a drug den, wasn't it?
It probably was. It was the mid '80s. It was down kind of by Cavalier and Portage Avenue in that little strip mall, I think. But I faked a back injury. I got hired as a dishwasher, and I didn't mind it actually because it was like, well, I don't have to talk to the customers or have to do anything. And I was playing basketball, but I was only playing a little bit. It was no big deal. And I told them, I said, oh, I hurt my back in basketball. And then I actually lied to my whole family. I still think they think I had this sciatic nerve disc problem because I was like, I can't go in and wash dishes. And it was a job I didn't mind compared to Safeway. But I still couldn't do it. And so I faked an injury. I might not even be playing basketball that year, actually.
Are you Basil Faulty now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
I got pissed off as much as good as he does.
I worked at a place. My dad got me a job at ABD, which was Associated Beer Distributors. And
nice. You worked at the vendor?
Well, it wasn't really the vendor. It was like this, like the place where they had all the beer. And I showed up and I was like 18 or something like that. And it was just heaven for me. The first day I walked in there, I was just like, look at all the beer. There's like just beer piled up to the sky. It was just unbelievable. And people would be driving around with these pallets or whatever, and they'd have these tons of beer, and it'd be awesome. And they had, just before I started, actually, they had this fridge there, and you were allowed to they had beer, and people would just drink beer. You're supposed to only have like 1 or 2 per break. But guys were taking like drinking 6 beers and then driving forklifts around and stuff like that. Kind of crazy.
That best yob ever. Oh,
best
man.
job ever. Except, you know what? I'd show up, I'd be really hungover, and there'd be like, someone with, a case of beer would drop and like it would just, smash, and then this cardboard would just soak up this gross beer, and it would just sit there for like half a day. And I'd just be like hungover. I'd walk in there some days and just be like, whoa, it wasn't heaven. Like Rick Moranis said, this isn't heaven, this is hell.
That's the best beer. The beer that you're in that time era, the beer in Canada was very much just OV, Blue, Club. I don't even know if we had Budweiser. We were just starting to get beers. It's not like it is now. So
lager, yeah.
Yeah, so you were getting your free 6-pack or whatever a day, or your 1 drink that turned into 6. If it was O'Keefe's Old Stock, you guys would be like blacked out.
The best part, Rybo, was I remember that ABD was right next to Elsinore Brewery. It was crazy.
That was funny. We used to get those the extra Old Stock when we were younger. We'd buy that because it'd be 6% instead of 5%. So we figured out, if you had you'd basically get an extra beer per 6-pack.
Yeah, you get an extra 6% drunker. That's what I always looked at it. Like if you buy a 6-pack of Labatt's, it's 30% alcohol. If you buy a 6-pack of extra Old Stock, it's 36%.
Totally,
that's great. I just got 40% drunker just now.
But then you go to like the States and drink like American beer, and it's like literally like drinking water. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? I think American beer literally has like 2.5%. So that's 1/3 basically of what extra Old Stock has. So like you're only getting like 15% drunk on a 6-pack of American beer.
Yeah, but it's like 30 times cheaper.
Well, listen, you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
One thing, just talking about beer, I have to tell this story. I remember one time when Mr. Watson was the biology teacher. We're gonna do a show about our best and worst teachers, but he was asking people what they were gonna do for their after graduation. I'm going to go to university. I'm going to go, get a job. I'm going to go, learn how to be a teacher. And David Terry, who was this skinny, giant, redheaded guy, what are you going to do, Dave? He said, I'm going to buy a case of beer. And that's all he said. And he was the one guy that achieved his goals after high school.
Set your sights low.
So Wallace calls him Case. You ever see Case around? I haven't seen Case since that day. Case of beer.
That's so stupid.
Oh my goodness. Well, guys, what a great show. First Yobs. We're actually finishing on time tonight, which is good. Amazing idea for a topic. So if you guys want to tell us your first Yobs, hit us up on the Twitter at go to mine, go to at I am Jericho, and send us your first Jobs, and we will read them on the air next week. We've got to get some fan involvement here. So send in your first Jobs. Spewy memes, get your shit together and put up some stuff.
No, he did 2 really awesome ones, and they're going to come up.
Oh, we're going to show them next week. Okay,
yeah, you bet.
Great. So we'll be back here every Thursday at 9, live from Mellonville. We're the Winnipeggers, so we appreciate you guys joining us, and we'll see you next week. And next week's going to be ridiculous.
Next week, take off, eh?
Still the best.
Love this.
I forgot to tell you guys that my real first job was Grease Monkey.
And I worked at a gas station.
I used to hang around gas stations. I love how every pizza place was actually a front for like selling drugs.
Yeah.
Well, it's apparently in Winnipeg. I know the Sabinos had some of that going on there. If I run into Sabino next time, he's not going to be happy.
Rybo just got a death wish.
I might not make it for next week's show. Well, maybe next week, but not the week after.
Oh, fuck. This is great. Great people, wonderful ingredients.
Great pizza at Sabino's and just amazing people.
Amazing people, nicest people you ever meet. Solid, true earth people, down to earth.